Welcome back, everybody. In a recent video, my biggest haul in 25 years, I picked up a number of these Craftsman black-handled pliers. Needle nose, slip joint, water pump tongue and groove, and a lot of them had a little bit of surface rust. And I was wondering, how can I remove the rust without removing the name? Because the name and the part number, I think, are etched in there, maybe with like an acid etch, but it's really just on the surface. To me, it's almost like it's printed on. And if you clean that off, most people won't know what brand pliers these are. So I reached out on the internet and asked what could clean the rust off without harming the name. Now this one is actually stamped in there. So that one, I'm not worried about, but I'm still going to try the rust removal method. And after a number of responses, somebody said ketchup. A lot of people reached out with a lot of different methods, but many of them seemed too harsh. Because I had rubbed off the name before just using some 3-in-1 oil and a simple scrub sponge. And that took the name right off. So I wanted to see, could anything remove the rust and leave the printing or acid etching on there so we could still see the brand. So I'm trying ketchup because I think it's going to be acidic and it should clean some rust, but it's probably the least invasive of the many different suggestions I had. So this is going to be the first thing I try, and hopefully it works, and hopefully it doesn't take the name off. I'm also going to try the ketchup on some of these tools that have a little bit heavier corrosion. This one's actually completely locked up, but I want to see if it removes the heavier corrosion. This pliers has slightly heavier corrosion, and I just want to see if it does any. I want to see if it'll clean that off, or if it won't even make a dent. I'm going to check this after 24 hours, and I'm going to apply some plastic wrap to the dish just to help prevent it from drying out, because I'm sure once it's dried out, it doesn't really have the same effectiveness. So it's been about 24 hours, and there's definitely some discoloring going on in the ketchup. There's almost areas that look like they're black. And I don't know if that's the ketchup working or if it's just the ketchup getting old. I guess we should take a few of these out and see if there's any difference. Okay, I'm going to start off with one that I think had the least amount of rust or corrosion. This should be the side that has the name and part number on. So let's rinse away the ketchup and see what's left. All right, well, there's no rust. The name is still there. I swear it's a little harder to read than it was before. But the metal itself overall just looks a little darker. That happens a lot with the vinegar and even the evapor rust. This side I obviously didn't have any on. But rust is gone, whatever little bit there was. So let's move on to something that we know is a little rustier. Now this one we know was completely covered in rust. Not heavily corroded, but definitely had a full layer of surface rust. The name is still there. It's hard to read, but it's still there. But the rust is definitely gone. This is the pliers that had the name stamped, but it definitely had some heavier rust, some more pitting to the rust. So let's check this one out. You can see on the paper towel, it definitely has a black film coming off the metal. Again, here you can see the rust is gone, but where the rust was, it leaves like this black colored metal behind. But there is no doubt that ketchup is a rust remover. So let's move on to something that had a little heavier corrosion, and that was this channel locks. So let's rinse it off and see what's left. All right. The rust is gone. Surface is pretty smooth. It has that black color to it on the steel. This one probably had the most rust so far, and it definitely took it off. Now this last one was by far the rustiest. I left half the wrench uncovered to kind of show what it looked like before. This one definitely has pitting, corrosion, much worse than anything we've done so far. Okay, this one, I can't lie. This impresses me. I mean, look at where we started and look at where it's at. 24 hours with a pile of ketchup on it, and the thing is clean. Yes, does it have a few spots where the finish is actually gone? Yes, but that was going to be there whether the rust was there or not. The fact that it's completely cleared it off, honestly, I'm impressed by it. I mean, that thing looks great. I mean, you can see how bad that rust was before. If you ask me, that's a pretty solid test. It definitely removes rust. It definitely does a good job at removing rust. And I would say, if you're at home and you don't have anything like a Vapor Rust on hand, but you got a bottle of ketchup in the fridge, I mean, what more do you need? If I was to do this whole thing, I would imagine that it's going to just come out looking great. This is the result after doing the entire side with the ketchup. I had it up to here previously, so this part is what's been cleaned since. There is a little bit of discoloring in the metal, but that's where it was corroded, so I'm sure it ate away part of the original plating. But overall, looks pretty good. Color's pretty good. It's rust-free. So I do believe that ketchup is a rust remover, and I think a fairly good one. It's maybe not as good as what they sell in the market as a rust remover, but if you're in a pinch and you got a little ketchup laying around, but you don't have access to other rust removers, give it a try. Thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next one.